disaster if the Warriors end up in the play-in.
Yeah, because that would mean they have to win a play-in game. 0 for 3 since in the play-in. You know what I mean? They're the only team that's been in the West that's been on the 7-8 line and ended up missing the playoffs. They did that in 2021, and then last year, obviously, the beam got them in Sacramento in the Klay Thompson 0 for 10 game. So that part's not good. But otherwise, you deal with Houston, who will be rested, young, tough, and at least beat you up, even if you think they're going to win, or OKC, which is a nightmare. Right. So all that's bad. The lack of rest is bad, and past can be prologue, man. It was game 81 last year. This is game 80. Game 81 last year, the San Antonio Spurs, down double digits against a title contender, stage a furious fourth-quarter comeback that alters the Denver Nuggets' seeding and playoff path. San Antonio Spurs this year, without Wemby, without De'Aaron Fox, down double digits in the fourth quarter, stage a furious fourth-quarter comeback that has, at least for the time being, significantly altered the Warriors' playoff path. I don't know if it will have as damaging of an impact, but it could have more damaging of an impact. If that just knocked the Nuggets from 1 to 2, that might knock the Warriors from 5 to 7 or 8, which is a disaster.
Yeah, I said it, I think, when they lost to Miami a couple weeks ago. Horrific loss, and that's what this was. I mean, San Antonio had lost 8 of their last 9 games, and you let them come into your building and beat you, and it's odd because Butler had 28. On 8 shots.
Right, 17 free throws.
Yeah, 16 to 17 from the line. And Steph had 30, and you still lost. Now, it's bad. There's no doubt, because obviously anything can happen. It's not quite one and done, but kind of. You know, you lose one, then you know, it's a very small size, no series. So anything can happen. They're 7-5 against Minnesota, Sacramento, and Dallas. So they haven't dominated those teams. I do think they get out of the play-in and be in the playoffs. And you mentioned past is prologue. But the one team that has gotten from the play-in to the finals was Jimmy Butler leading the Miami Heat in 2023. And they beat Boston and Milwaukee and, you know, and they lost in 5 to Denver. So they won't be scared. They won't be, you know, shook, which I think will be good for them. But a big problem is they won't get rest either. Draymond's 35, Butler's 35, Steph's 37. So that's a real negative when you talk about going through a monstrous Western.
Okay. Dude, the doom and gloom and the exaggeration, oh my God. It's just so extra in basketball than it is in the NFL, because I think the drama and the intensity is already just embedded in to the structure of the NFL. But guys, would this be a disaster for Golden State? And we knew Nick was gonna say yes. I mean, like, obviously we knew he was gonna say that. It's just so absurd. And trying to use past play-in games as a reference, you mean like when the Warriors were clearly like not as great as they were and were clearly like banged up, and it was just a different time at the end of their dynastic run and all that. Like, just, oh God, using those as references is just silly, just absurd, quite frankly. But it would not be a disaster. Would it be an unfortunate circumstance for them to have an extra game? If they had to play 2 extra games, yes. Having 1 extra game, if we're talking about rest and whatnot, you're talking about millimeters here. If they were going up against a fully fleshed out team that was mature, experienced, and ready to ball, like the Houston teams that they faced back in, 2016, 17, whatever the exact years were, if they were going up against a high-powered Denver Nuggets team, yeah, then I think like an inconsistent level of rest would really benefit and hurt, would benefit the other team and hurt the Warriors in that regard. But you are going up against a young, inexperienced, like Houston Rockets team, for instance, and so like that saying like, oh well, the Rockets are going to be well rested and the Warriors are not, like, at that point it's just like, I think that's kind of meaningless. Now, if they have to play multiple games, if they lose the game and they have to play multiple playing games, and then they have to play the Thunder, then I think that would be definitely a series of unfortunate events, You're now playing multiple games. You're now going up against the number 1 seed. You are going up against a team that is young, but they have some experience now. They're not like completely wide-eyed and just like happy to be there. They have real goals. They have real ambitions, and they are the number 1 seed for a reason. So I think that I wouldn't say it's a disaster, but it would be unfortunate for sure. But we don't have to go to this extreme doom and gloom with the Warriors that, playing in a plane would be a disaster. Like, no, it wouldn't. In fact, I kind of like them against the Rockets. And saying, the Rockets would beat them up. Every team's going to beat you up. Like, that's such an absurd thing. If you play the Lakers, you're going to get beat up. So I don't understand if you're at the 6th seed and it's 3 versus 6, you're going to play the Lakers and they're going to beat you up potentially. Like, so I just disagree with that logic. Like, it just doesn't really make sense. You have to go up against the Nuggets, like, depending on how the seeding works. If it's 4 or 5, or right now it's like everyone's so close to each other that the seeding is impossible to predict. Like, if they have to play the Nuggets first round or whoever, like, you're going to get beat up. So this whole idea that they're going to get beat up, yes, an older team with some older key players, whether it's the Lakers or the Warriors, you're going to get beat up through the playoffs. That's just an absolute positive guarantee. So you can't just say, this is a disaster because then they're going to play the Rockets and they're going to get beat up. Like, what? This just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, again, a game like this is a tough loss. It happens. Again, it's basketball. That's just the way this stuff goes. It's going to be interesting to see these, how the seeding officially unfolds, because you can see everyone is so stacked together. Like, we got 47, 47, 46. And it seems to me that based off of who the Lakers are also playing, they're probably locked in at their spot in the 3. What they play, the Trailblazers, right? They play the Rockets, so that'll be interesting. But I don't think the Rockets are playing for anything at this point. They're locked in. And then you have the Trailblazers who are playing, for nothing. So I guess technically, theoretically, there's a chance that the Rockets could beat the Lakers. You could also just have a bad game. But I find that hard to believe. But who knows? Because again, the Rockets, they got 52 wins. They're not playing for the number 1 seed. They're not at risk for well, I guess if they lose and that gives them 50, right? No, even so, the Rockets are not going to be at risk for losing the 2 seed. So you're pretty much golden there at that point. So I just don't really know what type of effort, type of energy you're going to get from the Rockets. So feels like the Lakers are really in the driver's seat with regards to that. So then again, if you're the Warriors, and if you're talking about the best case scenario for you is to be the 6th seed, well, then you're looking at Lakers, Warriors, first round. So, it's funny to me that someone like Nick believes that the Lakers are the second best team. He thinks it's like they're right under the Celtics, that they're the most dangerous team, the Lakers. And if that's the case, then wouldn't it be better for the Warriors to play the Rockets? Wouldn't that make more sense? Wouldn't you want to avoid the Lakers then, technically? So I don't exactly understand then why it would be a disaster. Wouldn't it be a disaster to face, according to Nick, the most dangerous team, the Los Angeles Lakers? I don't really understand it. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, where the Warriors are at right now, because what are they? I think they play the Clippers. Right, they play the Trailblazers, should win that game, and then you play the Clippers. But it'll be interesting because I believe that last game should be pretty much be guaranteed to be a meaningful game. I'm trying to think if there's a situation where the Clippers are somehow locked, but I don't see how they could be locked in where they're at, obviously considering everyone is so close, 48, 47. So there's no real chance that there doesn't really seem to be a scenario. They're playing the Kings and the Warriors. Yeah, there doesn't really seem to be like a true scenario where that game isn't going to be a pretty contentious game, because it probably should have. But I don't know, because I guess technically, well, then they'll be playing for kind of home court a little bit, because I guess technically there could be a situation where the Clippers are fighting between the 5 and the 6 seed, which or I guess the 4, I guess maybe like the 4 and the 5, which would then be kind of a push in that regard because you're just going to be playing each other anyway. But then you're going to be kind of trying to play for home court advantage. So I don't know. It's it's going to be competitive down to the wire at the end of the day. So the Warriors are right there. You got to at least give them another win. Again, if not, then they're falling apart, right? If they drop these next 2 games, well, then they're falling apart. But you got to imagine that they're at least going to get another win, which will put them at 48, and then the rest is going to be kind of like, I'm looking more at the Clippers and the Nuggets from that point. Do they drop a game, and then obviously do the Warriors beat the Clippers final game of the season? Like, it's a little bit hard to predict exactly how, what stakes will be in terms of that final game. Will they be fighting just to not be in the in the play-in, or will they be in a position where they're fighting where if they win they jump up to the 4 seed or the 5 seed rather than just the 6 seed? Like, it's a little bit hard because of how everything is so squashed together right now, which actually makes it kind of fun, makes it kind of cool. But I just don't see a disaster. If they were in a situation where they now dropped all the way down to 9 and 10, right, and they got to play a couple games, or they lose the game, like, yes, that would be not good. That is not the situation that they're in, clearly. And I like their chances against the Timberwolves, against the Grizzlies, against the Clippers, against the Nuggets, against the Lakers, against the Rockets, against the Thunder. So there are no disaster scenarios from my viewpoint. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Golden State Warriors? Do you think it would be a disaster for Golden State to be in the play-in? Let me know in the comments below. I'll read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.